Dzień dobry, drodzy Państwo, nazywam się Kaja Klimek i bardzo cieszę się, że w tej formie mamy okazję spotkać się z reżyserem filmu Jutro już było. Oczywiście, gdybyśmy się widzieli w Krakowie, to byłoby fajniej, ale sytuacja jest jaka jest, nie tracimy ducha, spotykamy się z twórcami, rozmawiamy o ich filmach. Przypominam, że film Jutro już było jest częścią konkursu filmów dokumentalnych poświęconych muzyce i właśnie w tej sprawie spotykamy się z reżyserem, ale nie będę go alienować już dłużej, bo uśmiecha się i kiwa głową, ale niekoniecznie rozumie to, co mówię, więc zmieniamy język na angielski. Okay, so what did you understand from what I said, Boaz?
My grandfather was born in Poland, also my grandmother.
Oh, so it's not like you don't understand at all. So maybe we should do that in Polish. No, that would be just a bit too much.
No, but actually I don't speak Polish.
Okay, so my guest is Boaz Goldberg. Nice to see you today. Journalist, pop culture, music, film fan, I could say, that turned the passion into work, which is the best way of living, I guess. And also the director, this is your first film, of Tomorrow's Gone, the documentary about Gabi and Charlie, and I guess about yourself in a way. So I wanted to ask you, what was because we can see that in your film, and thank you for it, because for me it was like a great experience. I never heard about Charlie Magira before, so thank you for introducing me to his work. But tell me, because this journey took a long time, so can you take us a bit back to the beginning? When did you decide that, okay, it's not only friendship, but I can connect that with a story that I can tell to other people, not only to me and my friends, but also to, for example, Kaja Klimek in Poland?
Yeah, so I just finished watching The Last Dance of Michael Jordan.
Amazing. I have 2 episodes left. So.
Amazing piece. Mm-hmm. And you know, I was just telling myself that actually there is a lot of things that are common between Michael Jordan and Charlie Magira. Yeah. You know why? Because Michael Jordan wasn't just, you know, a very good player. It wasn't that. It was a lot more than that. Mm-hmm. You know, there was always the spiritual side, you know, the mystic side of this human being. It wasn't just the statistics. Charlie Magira wasn't just a good guitarist, you know. It was always a lot more than that, you know. And I think that early on, I understood that, and I was trying to catch that spiritualistic bond between me and Charlie, and between Charlie and his heart and his art. But when I say spiritualistic bond, I mean, I a bit lost it. You're gonna edit it, right?
No, it's going like it is. So, but don't you worry. We are just humans, and the topic for you is so close to your heart that I guess everybody that has the opportunity to watch your film knows that it's really difficult to divide between the filmmaker and the friend.
Yeah. And so my challenge was, the thing was that my challenge was that he's not Michael Jordan, because when you're making something about the most popular person on earth,
yes,
going from a bird view, right? From a bird point of view, like from above, you must. But you know, Charlie Magira is not Michael Jordan, so my challenge was, at one hand, not to go from bird view. I can't go from bird view. It wouldn't work. Yeah. But on the other hand, although I'm an insider, not to go too close to the subject. So, and then it would be like sort of bombardment of superlatives, you know. So that was the real challenge, and it was like in the Alfred Hitchcock shot that, you know, you go zoom in, but at the same time you have to go zoom out, dolly out.
Yeah.
So that was the dynamic of the challenge of making this film. You know, not to get too close, but tell the story from multiple point of views. And actually, when I'm in the film, I'm actually, you know, it's not that personal documentary move. You know, it's not that kind of move. The goal was my goal was actually to portray Charlie in another color, you know, to show how much he influenced me, and through that, show how much he can, you know, he influenced everyone who met him or met his music.
Yeah.
So I think that a few maybe I tell it in other words. My goal was to make a film, although Charlie is, you know, an obscure, unique rock and roller, to make a rock and roll film that almost everyone can connect to. Not only, you know, die hard indie rockers or die hard, you know, rock and roll fans, rock and roll freaks. Then I would know that I failed. So that's why I also portrayed. So it's also a film about, it is dedicated, first of all, to Charlie Megira and his art, but also to music lovers like you, all the music lovers around the world, and also to, you know, to that thing about, it's a movie about friendship, about missing someone, about missed opportunities, and about that thing that music is doing to you. It's not about two young indie rockers with good taste in music. It's more than that. It's because taste, you can, you know, you can nowadays, you can you can build a taste in a few weeks. You know, it's
That's
not
true. If you
taste.
start to listen to a lot of music, you can go on some, for example, on YouTube or on Spotify and just discover a lot of things on your own. But at the same time, it's not the same, I would say. Like if you discover it by like digging into stuff, not like receiving it from some outer situations, it's completely different. So yeah, I can completely agree that it's about so many things that even if you don't know indie and alternative scene in Israel of the 90s, you can feel that the story is in a way familiar. And what I wanted to ask you, because there's so many topics that we can touch upon, but the thing that was really striking for me was, and it really inspired me, one lyric from the song. Let me just quote: "Rock in Hebrew is dynamite." And it really feels that it's also about, the film is also about like trying to find the like national or our own answer to American pop culture and American music in our own way. It's a bit like that with cinema also. We are trying to make genre films everywhere that are kind of the translation or something of American things. But I feel that with Charlie and the scene that you are talking about, it was a bit different. It wasn't like the direct answer. It was trying to find something else. Can we talk about that part? Because it feels like there's a lot of nostalgia for the past, but it's not for the past because there's no past like that. Can you say something about that in the, you know, in the field of Israeli music also? Because it feels that there's like a part of history kind of missing, and yeah, your approach really shows that too.
Yes. So what I was trying to say, I just say it's connecting with the last sentence. It's not the tasty music, it's instinct. It's the instinct. And we had, although we came from a different socioeconomic background, and he came from the rural north, I came from Tel Aviv. We had the same instinct, and I think that Charlie Megira and was what was so special about him, that he was so smart. He was one of those artists like and Michael Jordan is like that too. It was so smart. It was so smart and so wild at the same time. Okay, and on his smart side, he could actually be, you know, very, even you can say, his work could be even uh, um, political work,
Mm-hmm.
without saying it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. Like when Roger Waters wrote The Wall,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked, so he was trying to, to talk, against fascism and stuff. You immediately understood it, because there was no gap between his ideas and between, Gerald Scarfe's animation, all the, if you've seen the film, for
Yeah, of
example.
course. Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
But Charlie could actually say, hey, I came from a Moroccan family, and they came in the 50s to Israel. They immigrated from Morocco. They were Moroccan Jews. And the Ashkenazi Jews from Poland and Germany were the main
Yes.
thing and the main culture back then. And they didn't treat it as well. But instead of saying that in those words, he just said, okay, I'm going to invent a past that didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in the 50s, in the Chan Valley, where we came from, there were, some great, amazing, wild rockabilly bands that they were from, they're Moroccan Jews, played there,
Mm-hmm.
played them. So he could tell, he could be, was very sophisticated, because he could be very, you know, was like also a cultural critic in his
Mm-hmm.
art. He had a lot of critic in his art and heart, but he never said it like like in an academic way, or like a politician says it, or like many artists that deals with it says it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really
So
interesting because it feels like pop culture and music can be a bit like lost language that you speak with, using the influences and transmitting the stories also without saying that directly. And that's what I love about learning new things from different cultures, because you kind of feel that, oh, because when I listen to his music, because it's available, and I was listening to it whole morning today just to kind of prepare myself, maybe in a spiritual way also, to our interview. I was thinking like, I kind of heard that before, but not in that way. So there is this part of like
that's the
kind of
thing.
ontologic, like hauntology, like this kind of ghostly music that you can hear that never existed, but you bring it back. And it feels like it's a part of the story of your film also. But another thing that I see really strongly in your film is the fact that sometimes the persona that you create for yourself can consume you in a way. So I wanted to talk a bit about this this transition from Gabi to Charlie, because it seems that these are like two different people. And was that difficult for you also as a friend to follow that and not lose your love for the person on the way, because it really feels that he's changing in his own story. So for you as a friend and as a filmmaker that tries to follow the story, was that a challenge also?
So yeah, it was a challenge, and actually there was a gap, certain time that I didn't follow. I stopped follow him, and so yeah, I'm not dealing. It's not a regular biography. It's not a regular biography of an artist. I'm not dealing with Charlie McGeera. I'm also dealing with the Charlie McGeera complex on me, sort of thing. So in that way, that's why, I mean, the big challenge was to, how can you make a movie about a very fragile artist and human being? So the answer was make the structure fragile, make the structure of your film fragile. And so that was something that I can tell you that was a bit hard for me after the tragedy, after what happened, when I came back to work on it. It was like walking on thin line, because it was maybe easier to capture, to get a lot of all the journalists and musicians that I know, and I know a lot. It was, after like 13 years of rock journalism, it was easier for me just to gather them and and interview them, and then edit something with live gigs and stuff. And I knew it would, like, the film wouldn't succeed. I would fail in that way. So what was the question again?
I mean, like, how not to lose yourself in a way, but that's what you're answering already, because like maybe let's add something to this question, because when you have all these materials that you gathered from your interviews, from like I guess parties that you went to, just like friendly chat, and the camera is with you, you have like this whole gigantic mosaic of a life of a person and your friendship. So you're talking about the structure. So I wanted to ask you, was that difficult or easy? Because the film is not really long, and I can feel that it could be 3 hours long if you wanted that. So was that also like a thing that you were thinking, like less is more, let's pack it and find the thin line that like gathers everything together and puts it in like some kind of order in this disorder? Or like what was the thing? Like, was it more like cutting, or you found your way through the materials in a simple way? That's the process is also really interesting, because you are basing on found footage materials, on archives. So it's always interesting how you put all those things together, because it's part of the question that I was asking also.
Yeah, so actually, I think that part of my journey and complex with Charlie McGeera was that, we started at the same pace, at the same stage. I mean, two young indie rockers, but he became, magnificent stage animal and rock and roll animal. I became something else. But I think that what's making this film awkward and unique in an awkward way, is that I was talking about the multiple point of views, and one point of view, one of them is me also being a musician then. So the first thing I did, maybe it would be surprising for you to hear it. First thing I did after what happened, after the tragedy, was, before I bought the camera and a strong computer and, made my come back also to video editing after a lot of years, first thing I did was to record some music for the soundtrack, my own music. And part of it, about like, I don't know, 20 or 15% of it is in the film. But that was the first thing I did. And actually, me and Charlie always had, endless talks about music. And also we like to watch cool, cool gigs on VHS and stuff, funny, cool gigs. One of them, surprisingly, was Roger Waters live in Berlin in 1990. I don't know, he really liked it. And he was talking about, um, about how Roger Waters is like a is acting like a director and not like an actor and all kinds of things. But I'm talking about The Wall because actually that was, I think, the first rock and roll film that I've watched when I was 13, 1987. So if you think about it, and if you watch the film again, maybe, you'll see that the film is edited actually in as a long musical sequence. And actually, the voiceover, although there is a lot of voiceover in the film, the voiceover was the last thing that I added. The last thing, not the first thing.
Yeah.
So actually, I was not, in music is guiding. There is like sort of a long sequence that music is, the soundtrack is guiding the film. It's because it's my own personal soundtrack of my life, and also my own personal soundtrack of Charlie. I felt that is the best of Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this way, the film, I think, is very unique because a lot of rockumentaries that you see are rockumentaries are based on words and less on music.
Yeah. That's really true because you have always those, as you said, I could gather people and we would talk about what kind of person he was, what kind of music he created, the influences, the film references. I mean, like his haircut, his jacket, because it's like part of the thing. But it's much more interesting, and it's really convincing also because when I think about friendship, like I don't know if it works like that for you with other people than Charlie, but in my life, all the people have their soundtracks. I mean, like, they bring you music, you give them music, you create those playlists together. So every friendship has some music behind it. And in your case, it's also the music that you were creating together or apart, or he was creating. So it's much more beautiful way of telling the story, actually, about people through the music. Now I'm thinking about, I don't know, because, everybody is doing those challenges on Facebook or so on and so forth. And there's also this 30-day challenge in music that I do with my friends, that every day has a song, like, for example, the song from your childhood, the song that makes you sad. And we are sending each other those songs. And it also makes like a whole month of a story of our lives and brings us together. So that's really beautiful thing that you said. I mean, like the idea of just making a film through the music, actually not through the story in a way. So yeah. That's what I really liked about the film. But tell me, how many like just like a technical thing that I wanted to ask, how many hours of the material you had? Because of course we are bringing it back to the like ground now, but I was just really curious about the editing process, like, having all those things and choosing the materials to add it to the let's say soundtrack script of the film.
Yeah, when you are in film school, it was like 20 years ago for a little bit. So the traditional thing that you say that mainly mostly you need like about an hour, full hour for 1 minute. But I didn't have to have 70 hours because, you know, it's very tragic that the film actually that the dramatic stage of me doing the film came after the tragedy. Okay, but if you put it aside for a minute, I'm you can say that as a documentary artist, a filmmaker, I'm a late bloomer, so I was very ready. Although I was on hiatus for a lot of years, I was very, very ready. I didn't need to, you know, to get lost with this on a sea of 60 or 70 hours. It was about, I think I had about 10 hours, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I can say about the structure that, you know, um, you know that I'm grateful and I'm, you know, the happiest person that the film came out that way, and you can feel that. But I felt that, I was talking earlier about the musical soundtrack of the structure. Maybe there are a few die-hard fans of Charlie McGuire that didn't get it. I think that they maybe were expecting to see sort of a, you know, Wikipedia-like thing that, you know, encompasses all of his albums. And for example, there was one album he put out in 2006 that you hear nothing from that album, in my feel, because that's how I
Of course.
Save Charlie McGuire.
Yeah.
So maybe some didn't get that thing. They just, well, they were expecting for sort of a different document, you know.
Yeah. But as we were saying, you didn't want that. You didn't want the full story, like Wikipedia documentary about him, because that wouldn't be that much yours. And it's also about you and how you were like connected with him and how he influenced you. That's why the voiceover guides us also in a way, right? Not only music, but also your story that you are coming to tell us from your perspective.
Yeah, and how actually I'm continuing to talk with him after his death. I mean, he's sort of, I wouldn't say guru, but he really actually helped me to you know, to pop out, to shove out my stage fright and to make a piece of art, and, you know, to pop out move from the critic stage to fulfill myself as an artist. And he's actually helping me do it after his death.
Yeah, it's really beautiful gift from a friend that you can get, that it gives you some energy and courage to do really the things that you are supposed to do. But I wanted to ask you, like from like a bit outside perspective, were you, when you were preparing to finish it and to release it and to show it to the people, were you thinking also, oh, that can be something that I can give to him? I mean, in a way, for example, that this Polish lady now is listening to his music, and that's thanks to your film. So were you also thinking about people that's gonna have actually the chance to discover him? Because we were supposed to, in a way, he was in US, he was supposed to record with the Strokes and the music in Ari Folman film and so on and so forth, but this story never happened. So did you feel that you can add like this kind of chapter a bit to the story that never happened for him?
Absolutely, of course, of course. I thought at first that you're asking me if I could give it, if he would see it, he would like it, what he would say.
That's
But
also a question, like if he would be proud of you, or like, what did you do, Boaz? I'm not this kind of person. I'm not Charlie anymore. Now I'm somebody else, or something. Probably that could happen, because I think that he would invent another persona for himself with
I
time.
think I have a strong feeling that he would really like it, because the structure is shambolic, and
Mhm.
the first thing that you expect to see when you hear a movie about Charlie Magira is, a lot of whiffs and rockabilly tattoos, and
Yeah,
you
and
see,
Elvis Presley everywhere.
yeah, and you see it in the film, but there's a lot more than that. It's not only that. But other question, yeah, I feel that the film can be, well, I had a fantasy that it would be like searching for Sugar Man sort of thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, but even if it wouldn't be like searching for Sugar Man, yeah, of course, I think that it tells the Charlie McGear story, like Charlie McGear, like it should be.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, because as I said, I discovered that, and that's also interesting maybe for the people that are listening to us, that we can listen to his music now on Spotify. But when I read some interviews and some articles about Charlie, for a long time his music wasn't available. So is it in a way connected with your film, that now I can find Tomorrow's Gone and all those songs that were posted on Spotify in 2019 only, so not that long time ago? Is it in some way connected?
No, I think that
I'm sorry for this
no.
unexpected caller. I'm just gonna
All
leave it
right.
like that. Yeah,
No.
what I can do.
Maybe
It's the
maybe it's Charlie Magira.
Oh, so maybe I should go and check. Just give me a second, and we're gonna leave it on record. And I'm just gonna. I'm terribly sorry for this. It was just some stuff from the outside. I tried to tell them that I'm super busy, but they were started to talk. So I'm sorry to you i przepraszam bardzo, Krakowski Festiwal Filmowy. Niespodziewane sytuacje zewnętrzne. But it wasn't Charlie Magira, I'm afraid. Such a
By the way, Midsummer is a great film. I saw it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love it too. I love it too. And a Polish classic next to it, and Drive by Nicolas Winding Refn. So my taste. What we were saying, you were saying about the connection between Spotify playlists and the fact that the music is available.
No,
And
yeah. So no, there is this label, very highly respected reissue label, Mary from Chicago. That
Mhm.
after he died, after what he died, um, after Gabi died, I think that they, I immediately continued to work. I knew that this time it's gonna happen, and I continued to work on my film. And they probably said that they want to.
Mhm.
Know that Ken Shipley, their chief director of the Numero Group, the label,
Mhm.
said that he found Charlie on YouTube.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with my film.
Mhm.
And also, yeah, the compilation that they put, it's the same name, but it is actually
Okay.
nothing to do.
Yeah, but the music is the same, so it's really great to have an opportunity to listen to it. And I of course encourage everybody just to take up on the journey through his music and those different genres and ways of playing that he developed through his life.
Yeah, like a pastiche, right?
Yeah.
Like a pastiche, like many faces that he made it his own.
Yeah.
But I think that the film is not a pastiche, is fragmental, as a fragmental attitude, but it's not a pastiche because I didn't have one film that was like my model, I didn't have this kind of thing. So in this way, I think that the film is a unique thing. I mean, um, it has its own atmosphere or its own pace.
Yeah, that's true. So what I can say from my side, thank you for introducing me to the music of Charlie Magira, because as I say, it's really like the best thing that can happen when you watch a film and then you go to the music and then you start digging and then you discover many other artists, because I think that the alternative and indie scene in Israel is something that I've never like digged through, and now I really should, because if there are more interesting artists that I've never heard of, it's just like a starting point actually. And yeah, I'm really grateful to you for that. And that's the magic of documentary films, that you can really discover new worlds for yourself. So that's my personal thank you to you.
Wow. Yeah,
And tell me, like, do you think that after this first film, you're gonna work more in the area of documentary music filmmaking, or do you have another story that you already started to develop?
Without a doubt, of course, absolutely, I'm gonna continue. But I thinking about maybe my next film will be about um, a soccer team that I was a big fan of them as a child, and they doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I was thinking about doing something like that, but there is a big chance that it will be again something musical, I think.
Yeah, so that's gonna be also your version of The Last Dance, like a documentary about sports, which is really nice ending point to our conversation. I would never expect that we're going to talk a bit about Michael Jordan in our conversation about Charlie Magira, but to talk about great people, you can put a musician next to the basketball player, and it's gonna.
How to do it so in such a total passion and total, to be like a monster, to do it amazingly, and he
So
did it.
yeah, so thank you for being here with me and with us, and
I just want to say that maybe the karma of everything is that if you're asking me that if I would take, playing with Charlie Magira back then for 10 years, or doing this film after all, I would choose the film. I would choose the film. I mean, I feel that it's a fulfillment for me, as also not just as a filmmaker, but also as a musician. And I mean, it was actually alongside with a quiet mansion in the meadows. Creating a rock and roll film was the biggest dream of mine.
Yeah. Oh, so that's really nice to have it, the dream come true. So I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed for another project of yours. Hopefully, we're gonna meet to talk about it in Krakow or somewhere else. It would be lovely just to meet you in person and talk about basketball and music, the two coolest things in life. So once again,
thank you for choosing me.
It's our pleasure, and I'm really sorry for the slight interruption. I hope that my cat is gonna come, because the cat always comes when I record things, but he's not here, so the neighbor came. At least something happened unexpectedly, but this is life, as we call it. So thank you once again, Boaz, and good luck with everything, and thank you for the music.
Thank you, Kaja.
Have a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye.